bro.
What's
Yeah,
up,
I think that
everybody?
these.
Yeah.
Hey, I think that these boxes 2 years ago were 75.
There's a
and then last year
Topps
were like
Bowman
150.
Sapphire drop right now for Montgomery Club, so we're kind of pushing it back a few minutes, but probably have a public tomorrow or the next day for anybody in the card scene reselling those. Let's see. We wanted to start with the big news out of the Wolf Game camp. Well, they didn't announce anything. Beanie was outed. Beanie's a huge influencer in the NFT space and an investor. They say a small minor investor in the Wolf Game project. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. He literally could be the shepherd who basically runs the show. So I don't know, crazy. It's definitely the guy wrote like what 60 tweets. I think 60.
Yeah, a super extensive thread, and then there was another thread from a previous business partner of Beanie's to some degree, and just basically expounded on him having a lifelong or a 25-year long track record of just being a scumbag and skating by off of other people's backs, basically. So via being like a scammer. Crazy, man. Crazy how extensive and detailed everything was.
I'm gonna try to pin it in, or put it in the feed, the live feed here for everybody to see.
And Beanie's responded to some of the allegations. He said that he'll come out with a more detailed response today. So looking forward to see what that says. Obviously not great news for Wolf Game. I know a lot of you guys are holders. I myself am a holder. And although Beanie isn't the project, he's certainly associated and correlated with it. And we saw that with the price of some of the Wolf Game assets, like sheep, decreased quite rapidly with the news coming out. I still have conviction around the Wolf Game project. I think hopefully Beanie's explanation will clear some things up. Obviously, with the amount of detail that these threads had in them, I'm sure there's a lot of truth to be said in a lot of what they were, what was written. So I guess we'll just have to see. Wolf Game did make a statement about it, saying that they were very concerned by some of the things that have been brought to light and are considering them now. So still bullish on Wolf Game, but definitely the project took a bit of a hit yesterday.
Yeah, Aiden, do you think that like Beanie's isn't it? I just think it's crazy how much influence one person has over that entire project who does not even own the project. And that tweet didn't gain traction for several hours after the thread was finalized and made public. And then as it gained traction, we saw the price change really reflect like an hour or two after the tweet was published. So I don't know what the delay was between the tweet and the price drop. I'm wondering if some of the other allegations that came out on Twitter that followed the big thread might have kind of finalized anyone who was doubting the original thread's like confirmation or validity. But I mean, we were seeing the floor drop dramatically.
Yeah, certainly. It's hard to tell what was motivating some people to sell. To me, the easiest identifier is just like Beanie's been pushing this project with multiple tweets per day for the past few months, it feels like. So I just think the closer association with him to the project, for an investor, it may not be the best thing to be buying or holding something that seems as volatile as it is, especially if one thread can drop the price like that. I'm still excited for the alpha game and for what's to come for Wolf Game. But if Wolf Game were to distance themselves further from Beanie, I think that would be beneficial for the project long term.
Yeah, I agree. Look at the news. I mean, basically went from 42 cents to a low of, it went all the way down to 22 cents at one point as it just kept getting worse and worse. And now it's reclaimed 30 cents. So we'll see what happens here. I'm hoping I hope the game launches in the next few days, the alpha game.
I believe it's launching tonight. The alpha
great.
teams are making them right now. From my understanding, if you go on the Wolf Game website and click on the alpha game, you'll see that there's a message where all the teams are up there. You'll see that Gary V actually has 2 teams. Crypto Corey has 2 teams, and Shamdu has 1 team. Those are the notable names up there, at least the ones that I saw. So it'll be really interesting. I'm excited for it. GFNF members, I made an updated post a couple minutes ago about my strategy for the alpha game and what you guys need to know. So be sure to check that out in potential flips. But yeah, we'll stay tuned on Wolf Game. Excited for what it could be.
Okay, sick. Do we want to cover Solana drops now?
Let's talk as far as big headlines, maybe the Microsoft acquisition.
Okay. Yep. I have that. Yeah. So.
Cool. So Microsoft to acquire Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion. Yeah, insane. Totally insane news. Whose stock was it? Did you say, was it Microsoft stock or
the Activision stock shot
Activision
up
stock.
initially 30%, which
That's-
was about
Wow.
$20 roughly, and then now, as of a few minutes ago, it was up like 27%.
That's
Dipped down
insane.
a little bit to like 17, 18.
Wow, that's still such a huge swing, dude. Insiders got rich from that one for sure.
Yeah,
That's
it was
crazy.
really just a crazy headline this morning, both for gaming and future metaverse implications. So I'll kind of touch on both of those. So gaming, Activision was just in a huge scandal not long ago. They own all these huge games like Overwatch, Diablo, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Candy Crush. Like almost they got their hand in a lot, right? So for Microsoft now to own these kind of puts them, to me, in a very, very powerful spot. And these other companies need to keep up.
Right,
So-
because now, I mean, essentially they own the hardware and all the software involved with like a huge chunk of the gaming world. Like
A lot of
that's wild when you really, yeah, crazy.
a lot of consumers are a little bit worried about some antitrust stuff, but we'll see. I think it could be good and bad. I think we'll see a lot of quality of games go up, and hopefully the price of Xboxes go up. We could really use that. That's for sure. But what I also want to touch on is the metaverse stuff. So this is outside of like individual projects. In the Wolf game, we haven't seen any of the big, I'm going to call them the big 3 console gamers, console communities. We haven't really seen them dip into the metaverse hugely yet, and they haven't said exactly what their plan is. I was reading a little bit about it. I think they're going to start with mobile games, but I mean, this is Microsoft we're talking about. They've got endless cash supplies, so I am personally very excited to see where it goes. The possibilities really are endless with them.
Cool. Yeah, I know that there's been a lot of people that play those stream like World of Warcraft. Some of the bigger streamers like hate what Activision has done to World of Warcraft. Like they basically say the game's awful now. But
Really?
Yeah.
oh
What
yeah,
did they change?
they just every single expansion that comes out, it's just like they cater more and more to players who want to spend like an hour or 2 a week and have the best gear basically. So like for the big streamers and the people that like have played the game for literally over 20 years, they hate that people can just come in and get like fully geared in no time. So they've made it like easy to get fully geared, if that makes sense. That was just
Yeah.
one of the things. It's like
They kind of cater to pay to win
exactly
more than
Yeah.
a lot of things. But back to what I was saying before about why this is going to be good for the gaming community, the head of Xbox, his name's Phil Spencer. I actually don't know if he's the head, but he's high up. He's very gamer focused, so I think in terms of quality of content coming out in the future, I think it looks good. I think he's going to stop a lot of the potential microtransactions that are just kind of pointless, and I think he'll provide a lot more value than we were already seeing.
Cool. Into the meta.
Can we go over Stapleverse?
Yeah, let's touch on Stapleverse.
Okay, so after yesterday's live talk at 12 p.m., we were expecting to see Stapleverse at 1 p.m. Right after, and they ended up delaying it. Their site died. I listened to one of the head developers for that project talk this morning in a Twitter space, and he said their site was just getting hammered. They were expecting it to get botted. They had done some weird manipulations to the contract so that you couldn't mint directly through Etherscan as well when it was going to be deployed. So then they pushed that back an hour, and then after that, it was pushed back to 7 p.m. Eastern, and then at 7 p.m. Eastern, they basically said, look, we're just going to switch this entire thing to a raffle. And the response to that was actually nice as far as guys who had previously entered when Aiden had talked about it yesterday in our call, when the floor was like 0.57, 0.58. A few of us took that opportunity and entered. What they ended up doing is taking the remaining 2,149 spots that were available and allowed anyone who had signed up for an account in the morning and approved their wallet address connected to MetaMask to their site. They were entered automatically into the raffle, and 2,149 of those were then selected and sent on a Google Sheet, which they put in their Discord server. And they now have the opportunity to mint for a 24-hour window, which I think already started. And so now they can mint that feed bag for 0.1 ETH. And they're giving this window, I guess, obviously just to avoid like big traffic or gas wars. I think that's their biggest concern now. So as far as the floor goes, when this was first announced, we saw the floor get up to 0.8. There was some resistance right above 0.8, really thick floor at like 0.84, 0.85. So came back down then to 0.8, made its way back down to 0.7 really quickly. Before we knew it, we were right back down to where we started at a 0.6, 0.7 floor. So now the floor this morning we woke up was 0.6. Now it's still right around 0.6, just a little lower. And I think what we're going to see now is a lot of these guys, what we were expecting was after the big mint yesterday, we were expecting gas wars, which would have meant a lot of these guys get into the project at, they're paying 0.2, 0.3 in gas, so their entry into the project's going to be 0.3 or 0.4, so there's no reason they'd want to sell for low. But now with these raffle wins, these guys aren't having to worry about gas, so these guys who get in for mint are paying 0.1. I think, and I don't know about Eden, but I think we see the floor drop now to 0.3 or 0.4, probably closer to 0.4, between 0.4 and 0.5 later today and over the next 48 hours. And we'll see some accumulation there, and then I think eventually long-term, the project makes its way back up to 1. But I think at this point, we're going to see a lot of the guys who are able to mint and pay not much in gas at all. They're going to be just fine selling for 0.2 or 0.3 and taking small profits because a lot of those guys aren't invested into the project or Jeff Staples at all. And so that's my opinion on it. There's still this whole, aspect to it where if you don't, during the reveal, if you don't get one of the pigeons, you can then go into their like dynamic process where you basically have a 50-50 shot of either getting a feed NFT or a poop NFT, which would then either devalue or increase the value of something of your NFT. But that's a whole nother aspect of the project, which we'll cover in our server today. But really the focus now is just looking at the floor and seeing how low it gets after the next 48 hours go on and mints start coming in.
Yeah, I like that analysis. I pretty much agree with everything you said, bro. I think they probably stick closer to like 0.4, 0.5. 0.3 might be a little bit low. It just kind of depends on the buying pressure. I haven't been checking the volume or following it as closely.
It's there actually. Yeah, there is volume.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So as long as those raffle winners, sell into some buying pressure, I think the floor stays, between 0.4 and 0.5. I'm still confident with my buy. I'm just holding on because I believe in this project. So we'll see.
Yeah. I do think there's no reason that we see these. There's a lot of guys long term. I think the best argument for these going down the 0.4 or 0.5 is that some of the guys who minted are not nearly as invested in the project as a lot of us are and are just fine. They're more than happy to sell for 0.4 or 0.5. I think that's the best argument for it.
Yeah, I agree with these guys. They haven't started the mint yet because the items hasn't gone up, but they said they were going to announce it today, and you'll have a 24-hour window. So,
sweet.
Yeah, agree with what they said. Cool.
Cool.
All right, Solana projects. Want to do Mutant Doodle Apes?
Sure. Yeah, I can go over that one.
These are sick.
Yeah, I like these a lot. It's by the same guys who developed just the Doodle Apes on Solana, which is like sitting right around 2.4, 2.5 floor. And that was a very well-established project. It did really well, and we expect these to do similar. Obviously, they don't look nearly as nice, I think the mint price, it said, was like 0.8, if I'm not mistaken. These should do just fine. I don't think there's any reason we'd see these go below 1. But I think really more than likely we see these at 1.5 to 2 right after mint. And then maybe they drop a bit. There's some concern with both these and another project that either Aiden and I will touch on shortly called the Chalk Apes, because we have seen some of these derivative projects get delisted from Magic Eden. So that's like the only real concern with this project would be if it was get delisted, then, you know, that liquidity is just basically gone. But yeah, there's really the only other concern with this project. There's 8,888 supply, which is a higher supplied project. But I don't see these going under 1 SOL. I think at the very least we're making 0.2 to 0.5 SOL on this project very easily. Vince, I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, that's what I had said last night. I think that you're gonna make some profit on these, especially if you flip them within the first couple hours. I think there'll be a lot of people trying to get them or get like cooler ones or whatever if they did mint some. I think they're cool, and yeah, going off like the team is solid. They have a successful project already.
Yeah,
I think it's a good entry.
Yeah, and then another one today that's gonna follow after that is Pixel Bands, and this one's really interesting because they took a really different twist on Solana, and it's almost a project that we'd expect to see on Ethereum, because it looks like a much larger operation than what we're used to seeing on Solana's network. But what it is, it's like there's a dashboard. So you mint Pixel Bands, that's 0.5 SOL, so fairly cheap. There's like 4,000 supply, 4,444, and what we're gonna see is you're gonna have the ability on their dashboard, if you mint, to create like a character and then create layers of music on that character and then deploy it as like an MP4 file, which is like a little song. And so it's like a different approach. We're actually seeing a couple Ethereum projects pop up with something very similar now. I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see things start moving in the direction of music and sound on audio NFTs. But this is going to be an interesting one. I think at 0.5 SOL, the risk is very low. I think it's the most hyped SOL project to drop today because one of the big ones that we had an eye on called Bobos was delayed to the 20th, to Thursday. So I think this is going to be the most hyped project of the day. I know a lot of our guys with Cyber Keys are running it. I think it's worth a run. And it's going to launch on Magic Eden too. So it's going to launch on Launchpad. So we'll see how it goes.
Sweet. Yeah, I like Launchpad launches.
Yeah.
Bring some credibility.
Aiden. Yeah. And then the final one today that I'm looking forward to, Aiden can go over it, is the Chalk Apes. I think they're sick. This one's a little more split than the other two, but I think, Aiden, if you want to go over it.
Yeah, I think they're pretty cool, but to be honest, I don't know too much about them. I still wasn't able to verify in their server, so I know you were. So if you want to touch that, you probably know what to do.
Yeah. Okay. So, Chalk Apes are, it's just a very simple ape derivative. There's 2003. So there's 3,000 supply. Then they did 1,000 for whitelist, which is going to start selling quickly, I believe. And then if those do not sell at 315, the rest of the 1,000 supply from whatever did not sell out of that first wave on Candy Machine's like A network will then be sold to the public. So that's at a maximum, that'd be 1,000 stock. What we're gonna see with this project, if whitelist out of 1,000 does not sell out, I think we're likely gonna pass.
Yeah, I would skip for sure.
Yeah, it's a 0.69 SOL mint. If we don't see whitelist sell out, then we're just gonna make a call saying we're just gonna pass on the project. It'll be too high risk. I do think they look really cool though. I like the look.
Definitely higher risk than the other two. Definitely.
Absolutely, not even close.
I'm probably I'm passing personally on these, but I do think they look sick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go the other two more for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for it if whitelist sells out. That's my plan.
Okay.
Aiden,
cool.
Did you want to cover like the crypto market today? What we're seeing?
Yeah, let's go over this.
Sure. Yeah. We've been seeing it sort of bounce up and down, staying in the range of, well, it depends on which coin you're looking at, but things have been moving sideways. I think the last statistic I looked at was 13 down weeks in a row for crypto, which is obviously not a good not a good trend that we're seeing. We saw ETH obviously touch at its lowest point 2,950, I want to say, bounce back up as high as 3,400, now sitting at around 3,129. So not great price action, but it is driving the NFT bull run even further. So that's good for those of us that are involved in that space. Would I be buying Ethereum right now to hold? No. I think we see a bigger macro downtrend, especially with things like Bitcoin. So that's sort of my take. Kind of just waiting for more of a red day to start buying up. Vince, I know you know a lot about this. What do you think?
I think I had posted probably a month or so ago about the guys that I trust the most are calling for sub 30,000 Bitcoin, sub 2,000 Ethereum, and that's where I'm at with it. I'm waiting for that kind of blood personally. I've taken out almost all. I've taken all my trade stack out, and I'm actively working to sell some NFTs to get to USD. So.
Yeah, I think sounds like that's a general consensus right now too. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot of guys are arguing it. I think if we continue to see ETH like on a downtrend, there's no reason we don't see this bull market continue running for NFTs. I think we've continued to see time and time again that as ETH goes down, we keep seeing bull runs for NFTs. Solana's down. I'm wondering if ETH was to go down below 2,000, could Solana I'm sure it would go easily below 100 again. In which case, we'll have to see where these Solana projects go. Because when you're below 100 on Solana, you know these 0.75 or 0.69 Solana mints are almost nothing. So I think we're going to keep an eye on Solana projects too and where they go as the price moves.
Be careful at the bigger things at play, just because one of the first things people will liquidate is NFTs. If we're having some bad indicators in the Dixie and just general stock market and everything. So they're not going, you won't see a bull NFT market if things are not good in other markets too. And I don't even think last time Ethereum went down, we had a bull run in NFTs, to be honest. I think they were acting, and people were kind of confused because they thought if Ethereum was going down that NFTs would go up, and that didn't happen like 2 or 3 months ago. So yeah, I'm being very careful right now. I'm trying to get cash.
That's good.
Okay.
Garrett, I know you've just bought into the X Rabbits Club. You've been talking about this one all morning, bro.
Oh,
you want to share your thoughts?
Okay.
Yeah, I did buy one. It's one of the bigger like Chinese projects launched right now. And for those that aren't aware, China like made a formal statement the other day saying that they were gonna actively create separated legislation for NFTs than their crypto, which is like illegal over there to whatever capacity. So yeah, essentially they're legalizing NFTs is the best way to put it. And Google searches, or search engine searches, I should say, in Asia are at an all-time high for like NFTs and different search derivatives of NFTs. And a lot of these Chinese projects are pumping. The X Rabbits hit a floor of like 1.5 or even a little bit higher pre-reveal, and then they dumped down to 0.75 this morning, pumped back up to 1.2, and then back down. They're at like 1 right now. So I just bought one for 1 ETH, and I don't know. I like them. I think they're cool, and there's definitely a lot of international demand, which that's a relatively untapped market that could grow really quickly. So I feel like buying and holding on. I mean, similar to what are they, like the Fanta? What type of bears are they?
Fanta
Bears.
Yeah,
Fanta Bears. Were like obviously the premier first project from a pretty famous artist over there, or whatever. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it could be a play.
These Fanta Bears were over 6 Ethereum, and I think they honestly hit 7.
And they've been top volume on OpenSea
and they're under 3 now.
Yeah, they're 296 right now.
Look at this guy bought for 6.5. Gotta be
Do
careful.
these projects, Garrett, like, did Fanta Bear have a roadmap? Did they have utility? Same with
I
Almost none of these projects have anything going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think there's any type of token or anything like that.
Let's look at Ether Orcs. This
Yeah,
one's
dude.
interesting.
That very.
This I think we've all seen a couple times just over the past, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And there's 97% of them are staked in the game. They're at a 2-2 floor now. They were 1.99 last night. This one's interesting because it's like they're actually, this seems to me like they have developers and like guys that really enjoy gaming, if that makes sense. That's what I got out of just like looking into their Twitter and stuff. And it just seems like it's actually a cool little concept they have going on here. And it's like the original Wolf game.
Yep.
So I'm torn. I want to personally buy into this project, but I like I just said, I'm trying to get cash. So just an interesting project to keep an eye on, though. Are you going to try to get into this, Garrett? I know you had talked about it too.
I don't know if I'm gonna buy in. It's cool. Yeah, it says like the actual owner count is 1,100, 90%, 97% staked, and there's only like 38 listed for sale total. So it's the type of thing that just a little bit of exposure,
right,
or you could really rock it. I mean, just massive supply shock immediately when people start buying in. All it takes is a couple of influencers. So yeah, as of right now, that's not my play, but it's cool. It's cool that it's a fully functioning game. It essentially is the OG like Wolf game structured project, and it does work, and it has been for a long time, I believe, months. So
did you see
cool.
They were also with Raid Party?
Yeah, dude.
That's cool.
I did. Yeah, Raid Party announced the partnerships with Kaiju Kings and the Ether Orcs. And I believe even someone else too. It's pretty dope. They're doing big things.
Anonymize, yeah. Oh,
Crazy.
Forgotten Runes. Wow, they have a lot of collaborations. Okay, cool. Yeah, Raid Party's one, too. So, okay. Do you guys have anything else today?
I don't.
That's it.
Let's see. Yeah, we covered Soul Drops, the
Yeah.
Beanie Docs, all that stuff. Yeah.
I think we're good.
No, I think we hit it pretty well, man. About 30 minutes, so we can call it till next time.
Cool. Thanks, guys.